Welcome back, everyone, to Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas winners match. The winner of this best of 5 will go on to Championship Sunday tomorrow and be in a pretty good position to make it to Division A, which is ultimately what these first 3 weeks are about. TJ, we have coming up next, lnguagehackr, who won that first series up against Monsanto. So, Canada has kind of been dominant so far, and the 3 Canadians that we have in this top 8 are looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, this is the battle for East Canada, as all 3 of our Canadian players are actually from different regions of Canada, where I believe Eddie's from Vancouver, or somewhere in Western Canada. lnguagehackr's from Toronto, and Monsanto's from Montreal. So this is the battle for the East. I
believe that's correct.
Eddie is already representing the West in the top 4. Might have a chance to have all 3 Canadian players in the top 4. We're guaranteed 2. So, over the course of Hearthstone's history, we've talked about which regions are the best. We had Germany dominate for a long time. Korea had a nice resurgence at some point. China won Hearthstone Global Games. We had Norway for a while just because of Hunter Ace, and Scandinavia as a whole, with a lot of Swedish players being good. But nobody talks about Canada. People sleep on Canada. There's a lot of great Hearthstone players from Canada. One of the most storied finalists in Hearthstone's history, Hot Form. People actually always forget about Hot Form.
That's right.
But he did play second at a World Championship.
God.
Yeah,
right.
He did play second at a World Championship. It was overshadowed by the semifinal, which was Osaka versus... I can't... Oh my gosh.
Some random Tice. Dutch streamer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Tice.
I think he drinks tea or something.
Yeah, Osaka versus Tice. Sorry, I forgot there. The Freeze Mage mirror, the ping face Freeze Mage mirror. People think that was the final. It wasn't. It was Hot Form versus Osaka, but that semifinal was more memorable than the other one. But we have had a Canadian player in a World Championship final, and
it was because it was a quick 3-0, I think, right?
I don't even remember. That's how not memorable it was.
That's how forgettable it was. Oh. I had tuned in as we're going into this first game. Oh my goodness, another wild growth and overgrowth.
How can he keep getting away with it?
It's the hat. I knew it. Where does he keeps the Druid cheat codes in the hat. He looks up, down, left, right, select, start. AB. That is the source. God, actually, I don't remember the code, actually. I would mess up on my inputs as well. All right, well. Monsanto with 1 turn next turn will gain 7 mana crystal, which is equivalent to 2 turns of lnguagehackr.
Okay, so no big follow-up to the early ramp. No overflow, no guardian animals. Twilight Runner would be vulnerable to Bladestorm, but honestly he doesn't really have another option. I definitely don't want an exotic Mount Seller. Lightning Bloom. Maybe some consideration for just playing Speaker Gidra, but he has 0 follow-up. I would advocate for playing that if you're trying to curve into a big spell going into the next turn, but he's not. So very likely just a Bladestorm here from lnguagehackr. And then he's got both Risky Skippers, so he can attack and play Skyraider if he so chooses. Oh wait, he actually has a Cobalt Sticky Finger in his deck. Yep, he drew the Cobalt Sticky Finger.
That's right. The Cobalt Sticky Finger is super powerful in this matchup in particular.
Oh yeah?
We shall. That's right, you get that tempo 4/4.
I was like, all right, where's he going with this? I mean,
I thought you kind of I thought you would know that would be more of a sarcastic comment, but
normally when you usually have a nice zinger when you make a sarcastic comment. You usually don't make a sarcastic comment and leave it out there. You usually have sarcastic comment followed by, quirky Dan zinger. but there was no zinger after that one. So
That's right. My bad. I'll work to improve. Classic.
next time wear a
America's
hat
GM.
so I can read you better.
That's right. I'll figure it out. Yeah, I think that, with so many tech cards aimed at beating either the mirror or other classes that excel, like Demon Hunter off of weapons, I feel like this warrior might be just a toss up or maybe a throwaway for language hacker, a burner deck, if you will. Just doesn't really matter too much. If it wins, it wins. If it doesn't, it's not really designed to be Monsanto's lineup per se.
Mm-hmm.
Guardian animals off of this nature studies. Seems like that's been a lot of hits today about that. Nature studies has just been like secure the deck, claw, and whatever garbage that you don't really need. And then it's like guardian animals, overflow, overgrowth or wild growth, just like ridiculously powerful stuff.
Okay. There was actually a lot of options that turn. There was the Guardian Animals. There was also Lightning Bloom, Speaker Gidra Guardian Animals, because even with the Nature Studies being eaten up, he still would have had 10 mana with Lightning Bloom. You could have also picked Overflow, and then Lightning Bloom, Speaker Gidra Overflow, which would have put him down to 8 mana going into his 10 mana turn because of the overload, but would have drawn him a ton of cards. He wouldn't have filled up hand space. The problem being is that he's already drawn so many beasts that he doesn't want that overflow to draw the rest of his beasts and then have dead guardian animal draws in his deck, which I think makes sense going about it this way. And it puts more immediate power on the board, even though Speaker Gidra would have been large and in charge and in rush. I think the line was better.
Yeah, now he actually feels much better to extend onto the board because of that. Mm-hmm. Exotic Mount Seller, Lightning Bloom, and Overgrowth seems to be one of the things I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
There is also the possibility of like using Speaker Gidra this turn, like you talked about, but I think
nature speaks through us.
I think Monsanto. Oh wow, he's actually just not gonna even buff Speaker Gidra. This is kind of unusual. You actually tend to see Druid players want to immediately capitalize off the spell burst effect for Gidra.
Mm-hmm.
What's he trying to accomplish here?
Well, there's not too many minions that you need to like rush into with Speaker Gidra in this matchup. There's no bombs in the deck, so you don't have to worry about Blastmaster Boom, and everything else is small. He's already seen like the biggest minion in the deck besides Blastmaster Boom, which is the Kobold Sticky Finger. Other than that, there's cards that Language Hacker is going to get use out of immediately, like Dr. Krasnov, which is going to rush into something. He doesn't even play Captain Greenskin, so the rush effect just doesn't seem super necessary. The stats, though, could have been a big deal because maybe he gets out of range of Shield Slam. But overall, I'm not too concerned about just throwing it out there like that because he has the upside of, well, if it sticks, I get to hit him for a lot. If it doesn't stick, he probably used a big piece of removal in order to make it not stick, and then I get to play Exotic Mount Seller knowing that there's less removal in hand. But Language Hacker has removal for days. He's got both Risky Skippers in hand. One of those Risky Skippers can be combined with Lord Barov. He is missing like second Bladestorm, second Brawl, and maybe a little bit of fodder for Risky Skipper number 2, because right now he just has Armorsmith. I guess Dr. Krasnov as well, but not enough to kind of reach this Exotic Mount Seller. But after dumping your whole hand, Overflow is probably the best thing you could hope to draw. Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, Monsanto is pretty much just considering what are the ways that Language Hacker can punish, and it's pretty much just second Brawl, I believe, unless he's really believing that Risky Skipper can can do quite a number to his big board.
Yeah.
And if he did want to play around the Visky Skipper, he could totally just use the Iron Bark, but I think this is totally fine.
Oh, wow.
Second brawl being drawn for Language Hacker. Lord Berev is also something to consider. I should have mentioned that as well. So
Lord Berev first. Means he's going to go play Armor Smith? Yep.
Yeah.
Try and bank some armor in case he... Well, one, he sticks minions on board.
Ooh. Oh! Wow,
Two,
that's
he gains
a lot
armor.
of armor.
That is a lot of armor. Wow. Okay.
Not
now,
bad.
Language Hacker needs a Wrench Caliber. He's drawn all of his removal, but he hasn't drawn any of his damage. There's no bombs.
No.
Blastmaster Boom is dead. He doesn't have Wrench Caliber in hand. No Corsair Cache. And now he's going to be facing a Living Dragon Breath. How could he ever win from this position?
Yeah, especially, now that his minions can't be frozen.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even have the Cobalt Sticky Finger, which is put in the deck to combat the Living Dragon Breath.
That's right. It's a natural predator for it. It's a 4/4 versus a 3/4.
7/7.
Master Boon.
I mean,
here we go. Here
Okay.
we go.
ooh, draws the ooze a little late.
Yeah, the question I think becomes, how does Language Hacker approach using this weapon if he wants to start swinging with it? There's also the opportunity to coin into upgrade. Which I don't know if that 3 versus health breakpoint makes the biggest of differences, because he does have Dr. Krasinov, and he wants to swing at least a couple of turns before the Dr. Boom, but at the same time, he might not have enough time. I like to swing just because you have 38 health, and you don't have any minions that you have to worry about rushing. I think you also need to start shuffling in bombs so that you can get good Blastmaster Boom opportunities.
Yeah. I think it all depends on what his next turn was. If he wanted to play a Blastmaster Boom for only 2 bombs, then he... I guess he swings no matter what, but Dr. Krasinov seems to line up really well against this. How many beasts are left in the deck? He's played both Twilight Runners, 1 Leg Thresher, both Leg Threshers actually. There's no beasts.
I wonder.
Yeah.
What do you... Wow.
I think he's all out of beasts.
The downside of playing something like Savage Roar is that you don't have anything meaningful to develop right now. And sometimes his Druid deck just has nothing. It's got 9 cards, or 8 cards rather.
For no one.
And it just doesn't feel like a lot of them are playable.
Yeah.
Astonishing.
Wow, missed the hero power. Actually, I think it might be correct. He already played Gidra, right? So, yeah, so...
Yeah. And he wants hand space in case he draws Overflow.
Right.
So, I mean...
Wow.
It's, sure, he missed a hero
What a
power.
pass.
That's 1 additional health and 1 additional damage on Language Hacker. We'll see if that matters, but I doubt it will. Oh, looks like is Blastmaster Boom because he saw a very weak turn, so he's going to hold off on Dr. Krasinov as clean as it would be. Even though this is not the juiciest of Blastmaster Boom, it's still juicy enough, and, you know, he senses weakness, and when you sense weakness, you play your biggest stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Monsanto basically full pass on 10 mana. Had nothing and did nothing. He drew a card and he did nothing.
Yep.
Language Hacker... I mean, he's just playing minions. There it is, Ysera Unleashed. Ugh. Do you have to animate a Broomstick now?
I don't think he can afford to. Actually, if he takes out the Blastmaster Boom now, he'll probably save more health than he would if he saved Broomstick for when he gets portals.
I wonder.
Not to mention, there's a chance that he doesn't even get the opportunity to use the broomstick if his, if he didn't have many cards in his deck, and there's a possibility he draws a ton of the dragons in a row.
Yeah, he has 5 actual cards in his deck. There are 2 bombs and 7 portals. And 5 actual cards in his deck. One of them being a Mount Cellar. The rest of it being... One of them being an Overflow. The rest of it, I believe, just cheap stuff. Maybe a ramp tool. I guess this does neutralize the Blastmaster Boom turn, but now it's a matter of finding enough pressure.
Yeah. Dr. Krasinov to get the weapon buff here seems pretty nice. I'm actually kind of wondering if it'd be worth going for the Risky Skipper as well. I don't know if he wants to necessarily damage his Krasinov. He could do he could specifically try to layer it so that way he can get the damage from the boom bots and on the Ysera at the same time. So it first require him to think about how he wants to maximize his armor, if he wants to use Armor Smith here.
The awkward part is, if he doesn't play Krasinov first and trade into Ysera, he can't swing with his Wrench Caliber. Unless he is okay with giving up his Wrench Caliber. Like if he thinks that...
Yeah, it's probably better to do this then.
Yeah, it actually
for the
might
reasons
just
you
be...
mentioned.
Yeah, it might just be better to wait for Risky Skipper. Just attack with Boombots, armor up.
It's kind of a weak turn, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's got Brawl for portals. He's got 3 bombs in deck. Gonna have an additional one going to next turn with a 5 damage swing. Has Battle Rage.
Woo!
Okay. So...
It's time for some fireworks, TJ.
4 cards in deck, 3 bombs, and 7 portals.
All right, Dream Portal number 1. Chrono Breaker. No dragons in hand. And so, based off this, Monsanto's going to deck out, right?
Yes. So he will draw everything. And then
he's going to hope that Language Hacker does not have the Brawl, but he does.
Yeah, he does have the
should
Brawl.
do it.
I mean, he has Exotic Mount Seller in the deck. The problem is, like, he's guaranteed to go down to 15 this turn. The Weapon Swing will force him to go down to 10, and then 1 more bomb plus fatigue. He takes 1 fatigue this turn, and then 2 fatigue next turn. He'll have. No, yeah, he's dead, right? Unless he gets taunts from the Exotic Mount Seller. Or his taunt minion survives. He also has to dodge every Boombot damage to face. So he needs his taunt to survive, and then he needs that Boombot to hit the taunt that survives.
Yeah.
In order to have a chance.
It's looking pretty bad right now.
Yeah. And then
or
even
if
that
he gets a Zixor, right?
Zixor
damage?
He still might die. Yeah, taunt didn't survive. He needs us to absorb the shot. Okay. So he's got 1 turn. Because this weapon swing would put him down to 9. The bomb would put him down to 4. The fatigue would put him down to 2. No, then he would have to kill off his own Zixor to stop the fatigue damage.
Which he can't even do right now. Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
Now he's only at 1. We'll go down to 8, take bomb damage. Down to 3, fatigue down to 1. Yeah, and he can't kill off a Zixor if he gets it.
Is there anything, any possible way? We're about to find out.
No.
I just don't think so. There's just not really life gain beasts off this mouse, so just a little bit too slow. And Language Hacker, I mean, he's out of removal, but it just did too much damage. And Monsanto's Druid folds. Warrior takes game number 1 for Language Hacker. Looking like he's off to a really good start here in this best of 5. The Bomb Warrior, again, we're talking about how sometimes this deck seems to impress out of nowhere, and it feels like sometimes it just has no business winning games. That game, it felt like Monsanto had his pedal to the floor, and then all of a sudden he came to a screeching halt, and then Language Hacker just developed something, and then just did a bunch of damage to him. Remember, going into before he started playing Dr. Boom, he was at 30 health, and then Monsanto removed Dr. Boom in the use, and it was still like over 30 health, and all of a sudden he drew everything. He drew his bomb, started going to fatigue, and then died in 2 turns.
Yeah. Monsanto, it felt like he couldn't do a great job of layering his threats because he drew all of his beasts before he really could make use of the guardian animals that were in his deck. And when you're not going for those huge board pushes and forcing out all of the removal, it can get rough. But even then, like, it seems like drawing the removal in the first half of your deck and then the bombs in the second half of your deck is working out better for the Warriors than the other way around, which you'd think it'd be the opposite, because if you look at like mulligan win rates and look at the overall success of the deck, you'd think you want Corsair Cash, you want a Wrench Caliber that you keep buffing up and then remove so you can keep pushing damage. Language Hacker did it backwards, but that honestly worked out better for him in the long run, because Monsanto just completely ran out of gas, and then that's when Language Hacker started to put on the Wrench Calibers, Blastmaster Boom, that sort of thing. So Monsanto is going to move to Warrior. It's not Bomb Warrior, it is the Pain Warrior. So the couple tech cards that
Bring it on!
Language Hacker has in his deck aren't going to be as brutal. He's got Acidic Swampooze and Cobalt Sticky Finger because, you know, if you still live Wire Lance, sure, it's pretty bad, but it's not the core of your deck like Wrench Caliber is for Bomb Warrior. You still have other win conditions outside of just bombs and bomb damage. You have the ability to burst your opponent. And you also have just bigger minions like Blood Boy Brute. You have better tempo tools, like you saw the Shield of Honor there. So there are different ways to kill. He is running double Bloodsworn Mercenary, single Korkan Elite, so he has combo potential. He's also running the Serpent Egg plus Terran Gorefeed package, which also gives him a significant amount of tempo early on. But Language Hacker's got a pretty decent start. He's got Acidic Swampooze to be able to shut down this Ankar and stop the draw train from Monsanto. He's got an Ankar of his own to keep his draw up.
Can't wait for some fingers to get sticky, TJ.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be great. I also like that Language Hacker is playing the 1000 Portrait Garrosh hero versus Monsanto just playing the normal 500 plebeian warrior skin.
What a noob.
Yeah, that's right. Language Hacker is twice the warrior player of Monsanto. Confirmed. Yep. Anchor coming down to get his card draw source. And it's kind of like something that we talked about. Sometimes in this matchup, the resource battle is going to be very important. Not necessarily just for the value that you get for like destroying their weapons too. Sometimes we've seen some warriors get to the board so quickly that other warriors can't answer it. And then there's just too much to try to deal with at that stage of the game. For example, how do you deal with the Warmaw Challenger? Do you just coerce it?
You might, because you leave that thing up, it can get out of control very quickly. All of a sudden, Monsanto plays Inner Rage, Shield of Honor, and Bloodsworn Mercenary, and you just die.
Right, and I mean, coerce still does like a lot, right? If you think about what destroy a minion means, it also has dealt like effectively a certain amount of damage to a minion. So if it kills, you know, like a Malagos, like it's dealt 12 damage if it's done full force of destruction. In this case, that chorus did 10 damage for 3 mana. I think that's totally fine in terms of like what kind of value you got off of that card. I know sometimes people really want to save it for like a big threat like Blastmaster Boom or a Grommash or whatever. In this case, I think, like you said, that thing can get way out of control, and there's a lot of things that compound onto it. Having a minion that sticks with high health means that not only can they copy, they can battle rage. You know, they can fight for tempo. I think snowball.
Blood and plunder.
I like the Livewire lance
nice.
here from Monsanto. He's trying to protect his Ankar. Well, it could be either one of two things. One, it could be trying to protect his Ankar because he saw a few keeps in Mulligan, which weapon destruction is a big keep. So if Ooze were to come out, lnguagehackr would likely use it on this one in specific, this weapon specifically because it's the first one, and he also has a Cobalt Stinky Finger in his deck. Also, by coining out Dread Corsair, he makes Cobalt Stinky Finger less appealing because lnguagehackr would have to attack into a minion that he's not killing in the Dread Corsair, and then Cobalt Stinky Finger to get full value. And then Monsanto basically nets 6 damage by using coin here to get out the Dread Corsair. So I think intelligent play overall. There's also the second one, which I don't think this is it because I don't think it's a reliable win condition. You can fatigue Bomb Warriors with this deck if you just stay a little bit ahead of them on draw and save your risky skippers for double Armor Smith and gain a burst of armor and just kind of let the bombs kind of trickle in and keep armoring up because the Bomb Warriors' only meaningful threats are 1, the bombs, and 2, Blastmaster Boom. The downside of that, though, is you're giving your opponent a lot of time. Since you're not drawing, you're also maybe not picking up the removal tools that you need to deal with the maybe minimal amount of threats that the Warrior's doing, but sometimes that chip damage can matter. So I'm not a huge proponent of the fatigue train. I'm just saying it is an option for this matchup.
For sure. I haven't really seen too much of those scenarios myself, having played a lot, mainly Warrior for the this week on ladder, just to kind of try to learn it, as well as a Demon Hunter. I too anticipated Warrior to be potentially a bigger splash than it has been this weekend at Grandmasters. So, consider me in that boat of people that's been kind of shocked by its underperforming stats going into this week, as Warrior, I believe, is pretty. Actually, it seems to be doing okay. I guess I thought I was just going to be doing a lot better, but maybe it's because people are banning it a lot, and then the bans on it, or the lack thereof, means that you're ready to beat it.
Yeah, like lnguagehackr has been on ban Priest against any lineup that has Priest, and has 2 of his decks teched to the teeth to beat Warrior. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, it's actually impressive that its win rate is okay. Because if players are leaving it up, then they think that they have an answer for it.
Sure, that makes sense to me. Monsanto with the anchor, equip, and attack, and it's kind of important that he gets this anchor and just be fearless about it. He only has 2 weapons in his version with the 1 Corsair cache anyways, so, you know, lnguagehackr has 2 weapon removal in the form of his Acidic Swamp Ooze and his Cobalt Sticky Finger. That dynamic has already been established for what this matchup's going to be. That being said, it does feel pretty bad when you're like, okay, I'm going to bait this first weapon and then try to use Anchor more reliably, and it turns out lnguagehackr has both weapon removals here. Stickiest.
He said both weapon removals in his top 10.
That's right.
That's brutal.
Oh, jeez, it's so big too, because now he gets his second risky skipper and doesn't have to afford that card draw. And at the moment, he picks up second battle rage, or rather, the battle rage he can use right afterwards. It's gonna be great. And would it be kind of saying something if lnguagehackr loses anyways, right? When you're talking about the power of tech cards, in terms of how this matchup has gone, it's pretty close to ideal for lnguagehackr. Oof.
Yeah.
Man, I bet Monsanto wishes he had his own Steve and Sticky Finger. I guess the question becomes if you want to drop this Dread Corsair or not, and lnguagehackr chooses not to. It's a cheap card with the risky skipper, and also it just doesn't really feel like it's very impactful at the moment, given that these boombots can probably deal a lot of damage.
Yeah. Oh, if that nailed a Sticky Finger, imagine. Just imagine.
Imagine what? He doesn't have any more weapons in the deck.
No, imagine if his Sky Raider had hit the stick.
Oh,
he would have been able to Sticky
I
Finger
thought you
the
meant
buffed up Wrench Caliber.
Yeah.
And really
Okay. I thought you meant that
stick it to him.
sapped his Sticky Finger.
No.
Oh, this is actually kind of funny. lnguagehackr can play Deathwing and then get it back because of the Sankus Sapper. Actually, entirely depends on if this Boombot.
Yeah, or does it happen before the Boombot damage? I think the Boombot damage would resolve first because it was played first, and they both are Death Rattle, so it'd be Order of Death Rattle. Oh! Oh man, it's the perfect value Deathwing. It took the maximum amount of damage, and then just came back.
Yeah.
That's
a good boy. That's a good boy.
Oh man. lnguagehackr can remove this without even using the Deathwing again.
Yeah.
This one is... I feel like this one's done.
It feels super one-sided at this point.
Yep.
Monsanto going to concede 2-0 for the hacker. lnguagehackr just needs one more, and he is through. And he also can consider himself the king of Canada for this group, at least, until he goes against Eddie. Funny enough, too, lnguagehackr would avoid Eddie, who got that first seed yesterday, which was different from last week because lnguagehackr and Eddie actually played in the semifinal, and Eddie was talking about how lnguagehackr has like the lineup to beat his. Very funny if that was similar. I don't think this week that might be the case. I don't think lnguagehackr's decks beat Eddie's decks nearly as hard as last week's because he doesn't have like the big warrior and other things like that. But still, Monsanto is looking pretty down right now in terms of his outlook to win this series. He has to win 3 in a row with Rogue. And it's a powerful deck, but we hadn't seen good aggro Rogue performance today, as we did have a couple of players bring it for this group.
Yeah, it's this is the more all-in aggro version. This is kind of like what I wish Briar Thorn's Rogue was. Just kind of like all-in on the aggression and not very many expensive stuff. And the expensive stuff he does have also fit with the theme of just all-out aggression with Burrowing Scorpion and the Infiltrator Lillian at the top end. And this matchup, I mean, it can get tough. Like a risky skipper Armorsmith early on in the game, and you're muscled out already. It feels like it does have some over-the-top damage, but with how much life gain this warrior has the potential of doing, it can get rough. This is an okay start from Monsanto, but that sap not looking great. The backstab not looking great.
Yeah, I mean, lnguagehackr doesn't really have too much going on. He's got the shield slam to just stop some of the aggression, kind of like what you're saying. However, oh no.
He's got the ooze. Oh my goodness.
How does he keep doing this?
Yeah. I mean, lnguagehackr either had the sick read that aggro rogue would be a popular choice, or he wanted to counter bomb warrior, and this just incidentally beats the aggressive rogue decks, but
could be a little bit of both, like the idea that he wanted to mainly beat other warriors, but also happens to be good against people who bring Demon Hunter and Rogue as well.
Yeah.
or specifically like a aggro rogue that features this. A lot of aggro rogues don't actually play weapons. Wow, coin cores for 1 damage. Such low value. But he's taking it very seriously, which I think we can all appreciate.
Yeah, I mean,
Does not
this
want
damage
to
is starting
die.
to pile up for Monsanto, and Language Hacker doesn't have like great removal packed into his deck. And
Dr. Krasen off to remove it next turn.
yeah,
Now Monsanto has to count. He has to actually think if he wants to dagger versus play this 2/3. Or sorry, this 2-mana 3/1.
Consider this.
Yeah, we're not taking that 6 damage to swing with the anchor,
Ooh.
right? Just for the risky skipper.
I mean,
We're all in.
It's
Are
getting
we?
close. Next turn he has 4, 5, 6, 9 damage,
Okay.
but there's
Whoa.
risky.
It's huge.
If he wants, he could go Lord Brav, Risky Skipper, Armor Smith. That would gain 3 armor. He could also just like Ankar and armor up, or Risky Skipper, Armor Smith, armor up, which would be 4 armor. Depends how much in threat he thinks he is. The problem for Monsanto is the Armor Smith, even once it's gained its value from Risky Skipper, also is just difficult to deal with. Because you don't want to be throwing eviscerates at it. Sap can sometimes deal with it, but then you have to worry about the possibility of second one. I wonder if Language Hacker thinks that has a turn. Like if he wants to go Ankar plus armor up here, go up to 13. It's just 2
Yeah.
cards in the deck,
I
just like completely lock him out almost.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like a breakpoint thing. Like, does 15 health, is that better than 13? And the fact that you get a little bit more tempo on the board. And I think it's purely an equation where Language Hacker just has to think about how to survive, not about if he wants to be counteroffensive here.
Yeah. All right. So Monsanto saw
Okay.
the Risky Skipper come off the top. He saw how much Language Hacker struggled to deal with the early minions, so could find a sap on the Armor Smith here. Just like throw the South Sea Deckhand into the Risky Skipper, sap the Armor Smith, and then redevelop with a Working Infiltrator. But he's going to need Secret Passage into some big damage.
I like that you say redevelop with a Working Infiltrator.
I mean, he's redeveloping. It's just a very minor amount of development. Ankar here.
I guess so. It's almost as irrelevant as it could be, though, in terms of developing a minion.
Oh, and finds the skipper. Just do it again.
Monsanto with the slow blink. He knows.
Okay.
Okay.
Double Eviscerate Sinister Strike is lethal.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Deadly poison?
Or double Eviscerate. No, double Eviscerate Deadly Poison is not lethal.
Wait, but you can draw cards now.
You can draw cards.
Fate awaits you in the ashes.
Okay.
But now he has to.
It's a dagger down the Armor Smith.
Yeah, because Deadly Poison is more over 2 turns than Eviscerate would be.
It looks like there's a glimmer of hope. Okay.
Choose soon.
But then
Is there any ability for Monsanto to ignore this and say that if you have a minion, you have... No, he can't. He knows Anchor's in the hand. Or Anchor's in play, so he's going to draw Pirate.
Yeah. And he...
Oh, protect the stealth minion. Okay.
I mean, that could guarantee Cold Blood.
Right.
Oh, no.
Wow. I mean, that looks good. Does he want to? He wants to draw first to see what he gets.
Yeah, there's a Sticky Finger and a Sky Raider still left, I believe. If he gets Sticky Finger, he also gets to steal the 3 damage. Sky Raider.
No, it's Sky Raider.
Yeah, still though, Blade Storm.
Okay. Edge Clan Burglar could be devastating. It gives him, like, I don't know, Soul Cleave? Could be so powerful if that something, like, it could be anything, right? With the Hedge Clan Burglars. Just not a rogue spell.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not a warrior spell.
Misdirection.
That is interesting. Misdirection actually is incidentally pretty good against these stealth minions. Oh, jeez. So devastating.
Alright, 14. Alright, we can draw again.
More card draw.
A cruel fate awaits you.
Use another secret passage at this point, right?
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
oh.
That is damage. That's 12 damage in the hand. If he was able to convert, if he had mana and the ability to attack, this was enough damage to kill this turn. That's how explosive it is. A lot of what ifs though.
And the next question, do you hit the Armorsmith and then re-dagger? Then you have to draw something to combo next turn, which, I mean, that the deck is filled with it, but Secret Passage would be...
It'd be devastating.
Awkward.
Actually.
Everything
So
else
do
in
you-
the deck outside of Burrowing... Actually, even Burrowing Scorpion. So everything in the deck besides Secret Passage.
Right.
Or Second Sap if lnguagehackr trades off his board. But it doesn't seem like he will. Backstab might be a little awkward, too. And then just re-daggers. All right.
I feel like you gotta risk it. Yeah, I agree. I might draw like Ash Tongue Slayer, but oh, yeah, I'm thinking about Deathwing right now. But you don't want the Forsaken Lillian to actually attack your own face. I'm wondering about Misdirection and how that interacts with Forgotten Lillian, because I actually haven't really seen that interaction before. And I think it's like direct. It's on your turn. You can't have it on your turn, but I think it can't activate on that. But I am interested to see what happens on Monsanto's turn here. If he ends up drawing, if Lillian ends up dying, that's such an interesting thing to think about.
So, Monsanto needs 1 point of damage. Unless, so...
Well, I
If he
mean, he can't because of Misdirection. Like, even if he had the 1 point of damage. Right?
no, he would attack with the dagger.
But he doesn't know if he... Like, how would he know that's Misdirection to attack with the dagger first?
Yeah.
Jeez. Good thing he didn't Cold Blood. I think he was probably anticipating like a explosive trap or something like that first.
Yeah.
Or a freezing trap, which would have been okay actually. Freezing trap would have probably been better.
Choose soon.
Then he could just replay it.
Right. I think you might want to just commit your eviscerates at this point, right? Like get the mana out, so you can like if you draw Secret Passage, you're not in trouble. It'd be like Worgen Infiltrator, eviscerate.
Yeah.
Pass.
Oh my goodness.
Redaggering is worse against the Cobalt Sticky Finger. Very minor in the grand scheme of things. lnguagehackr still trying to just squeeze out every life point he gets. You can see why it was important for him to prioritize gaining every life point that he could possibly get. Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
Wait.
6, 7 plus 12, 19. This is exactly 19. He needs any card in his deck except for Secret Passage. That's it. That's
Wow.
exactly 19, right?
In the shadows.
Yeah.
Oh my, what?
He actually won.
Wow! Wow!
I can't believe he won.
Wow.
I think
So-
for Language Hacker, he was really surprised, but at the same time, Monsanto had been passing and holding like these 3 cards for so long. He floated like essentially 9 mana, right? Like he just like redaggered, like played the 2-1, redaggered and passed. And I mean, when you're in that position, you got to think about like what's the only way Rogue can beat you in this scenario, and it involved him clearing off the board somewhat there.
So there are only 4 damage cards left in the deck. He had second Hook Scimitar, and then 1 Cold Blood and both Eviscerates. He needed 3 to kill, and all 4 of them are combo cards. So he needed combo card plus 3 of them to kill. So it's very unlikely that he has those, but it's possible. The option for Language Hacker there could have been attack the Lillian, take the 8 damage, then Deathwing Armor Up. I know he still dies, right? Because he takes the 8 anyway, and then he would go down to 11, Armor Up to 13. But then there'd be no minions on the board, so he couldn't activate Cold Blood. So then he only dies to exactly Hook Scimitar plus Viscerate. I think the optimal I just need to survive would have been attack, take the 8 from Lillian, then Deathwing Armor Up.
Right. And I think he should know that Hook Scimitar is not in the hand, right? Because he would have played it and attacked.
He would have played it because he had played both Weapon Destruction. No, you're absolutely right. So, yeah, I think it was because he was at 11 at the beginning of that turn. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the way because there's no charge minions left at the beginning. He ended up being at 19. He armor up that turn, so he's at 17 at the beginning of the turn. He goes down to 9, armor ups to 11. So then you have Sinister Strike, Eviscerate that kills you. I guess there's the same amount of things that kill you either way. Yeah, it's equal either way.
Got it.
You don't limit his outs, I don't think, because there's the same amount of combination of cards that kill you whether or not you play the Deathwing or you play the Blastmaster Boom. So I guess well played to Monsanto. Just push damage where he needed to, kept him at exactly the health he needed to. All right, now we go to the Tempo Mage, which definitely struggles against aggressive rogues.
It can struggle. It does feel like it depends on what kind of early game spells they have, because they have the tools to deal with them. But yeah, like stopping damage from the hand when you don't have access like Frostbolt is really difficult.
Yeah.
Especially if Monsanto has these Hook Scimitars. Now that being said, Monsanto kind of needs stuff. It needs a couple cards to really tie things together. He has no combo enabler for Hook Scimitar.
Yeah. He's got all the expensive cards in his deck. 3 and 4.
So many options.
But yeah, like Devolving Missiles is a good tool to be able to deal with the early stealth missiles, or stealth minions. But after that, like Ray of Frost can't target stealth minions, can't target face for those big weapons. You don't have natural taunts in the deck, so you have to rely on randomly generated like mirror images and things from Conjurer's Calling. But by the time you can play a minion and play Conjurer's Calling, it's usually past the point of no return. Because of the direct damage. All Monsanto needs to do is just put him in range, and he's going to be given a lot of time in order to do so. And I wonder if because of that, maybe Language Hacker has to start taking some risks here, but Shinvala doesn't feel like it will survive much on this board. It would just take a backstab to clear it off.
Maybe Language Hacker instead takes it a little bit slower. Primordial Studies will discount his Cobalt Geomancer to 0, which allows him to hero power and then clear off the board. I think Chinvala is, a risk that he's got to take here because
Yeah.
the upside of it is pretty high.
Yeah, I think you just have to take the risk, and I mean, it will pay off in one way or another. Either Monsanto will have to sink damage into it, or two, if he doesn't have a way to deal with it from hand, he just gets a 5/5 next turn and maybe can find some sort of counter push. Now Monsanto has the tough job of, well,
So many.
do I just
options.
equip an uncomboed Hook Scimitar to kill this? Do I ignore it and push phase? Do I Secret Passage and try and find a way to deal with it? He could also sap. All right, he's going to give him a 5/5.
I mean, it's not as if he's giving us 5/5. He has to prove that he has the spells, right? Like, he knows one of the minions in hand, or cards in hand, is a minion that he got from Primordial Studies. Language Hacker, you can see, not happy to get his options there. I think Azure Exposure is kind of weak, but he could at least play this Cobalt Geomancer, double Ray of Frost, summon that 5/5 Elemental, and kind of initiate a race. Although Language Hacker, I mean, Monsanto has ways to get back to tempo through sap.
Yeah, Monsanto can honestly just ignore a lot of things. I want to say almost everything.
He just needs to pick up like a very cheap card right now. Well, that's actually around the middle cost of his cards in his deck. Monsanto has so many cheap cards.
Yeah, so it looks like Burrowing Scorpid this turn. Next turn will probably be slated for Sap plus Hook Scimitar, and then it's just a matter of time.
Okay, well, Malagos doesn't have a dragon to discover, so he's going to have to Wand Thief. Hope they can find something instead. Conjurer's Calling?
Conjurer's Calling is decent. Rolling Fireball actually can be a way to deal with stealth minions, but only if there's a non-stealth minion on board. Conjurer's Calling might be the choice because it's the only way he has available to him right now to get a taunt minion, and he can kind of do the math, and he has a varied amount of costs on his board. Some of the 5-mana
Yeah, and it
taunt
actually
minions.
gives him the ability to potentially race.
Yeah. Spellbender is also interesting because of Cold Blood
What to do?
Yeah, and Sap.
and Sap,
Time runs out on me.
but that's assuming that your opponent has those tools in hand, whereas the other things are whereas Conjurer's Calling is not predicated upon anything your opponent does, because Monsanto is going to clear Language Hacker's board. He may kill some things. Spellbender it is. Oh, wow.
How much damage is this? 5 plus... I mean, that was 2 points off from lethal. Interesting that he's prioritizing the sap.
I mean, the Secret Patch's next turn just has to hit 2 damage.
2 damage from hand, but there are ways they can do it. And that secret does kind of mess things up. Another Spellbender. Puzzle Box Eoctron's not playable, and so Language Hacker really needs to hope that Monsanto whiffs on damage.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's so unlikely. Like, he has Sinister Strike, Eviscerate, even Burrowing Scorpid, he'd have enough mana for it.
Okay.
He has Sousy Deckhands, Deadly Poison. Like, so, there's... it's not guaranteed, obviously, but, I mean, it's very likely, and there's Deadly Poison, and Sousy Deckhand, and Eviscerate.
And Eviscerate. Yeah, this rogue deck is so good at outputting damage, and, you know, Monsanto... Oh, wait, he doesn't know it because he knows about... He thinks about Ice Barrier.
At this point, you just don't care. you attack. Like,
You win.
yep. Actually, he had
Ice
lethal
block.
through Ice Barrier.
Yeah. Monsanto with a 2-quick victory But I mean, maybe most importantly, he's already beaten the hardest deck, which is the Warrior. Now he just has to beat the Druid, and that's another deck that can struggle against aggression. Maybe Monsanto is on the verge of a reverse sweep, winning that unfavorable Rogue versus Warrior. A huge deal.
Yeah. I mean, that's an insane win on multiple levels. One, it was pretty much it was the hardest matchup, and two, like 19 damage from hand on any mana for an aggressive deck. That's a lot. Like that's Leroy Shadow Step versions of amounts of damage, which is kind of insane. So I guess he did have minion on board to be able to contest it, but I expect as soon as that first Greasy Super Armorsmith came out, I was like, Monsanto's done. So that was kind of the turning point of the series, and now lnguagehackr got to be sweating a little bit. I thought it was a shoe-in for him to be through into the top 4 going into tomorrow, but now he's relying on this survival druid.
There's a discrepancy. I'm looking at the website. Was it his druid or his priest that was banned?
It was his priest,
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess slight error on the website. Apologies there. As his druid is the one that's coming up next. But yeah, with animated broomstick, it's going to be better for lnguagehackr to fight onto the board, but he doesn't really feel like he has the time to be playing Wild Growth and Overgrowth if his opponent's hitting him with 3 attack minions from the very get-go and getting a bunch of buffs. And that's what the stealth aggro rogue is really powerful, because it's just so quick at getting kills and really punishing decks that take a little bit of time to get set up.
And it's the power of the hat. Can't be stopped.
Monsanto looks kind of unstoppable today with that. Just seems to be kind of cruising when he's getting into the swing of things in the zone. He seems very comfortable.
Well, let's get into it. lnguagehackr looks a lot different than he did towards the beginning of this series. His body language, at least. Monsanto kind of always just has a pretty even keel about him, but yeah, that's a full toss from lnguagehackr. And Spy Mistress on 1 for Monsanto. I'll take that. Huh, okay. I don't hate the hand from lnguagehackr.
In the shadows.
There's things to do.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I mean, he's got removal and heal.
Yeah. Monsanto has actually a pretty interesting set of decisions that will put him on a certain path if he chooses to go for Worgen Infiltrator Sinister Strike. This is him saying, I'm pretty confident I'm going to draw something that's playable next turn.
Yep. Worgen Infiltrator
I like the fact that he's setting this up because he wants to attack with Spy Mistress, but he also knows that he might draw Greyheart Sage, so I think this is a really important setup here.
Or Ashtongue Slayer.
Rewarded.
Nice. lnguagehackr already at 20.
I mean, he can clear off the board here and stop Coldblood from hitting him for, 6 to 7 damage. That's going to be really hard to deal with. So he can Crystal Power and Hero Power down the Worgen Infiltrator. And now it's up to Monsanto to kind of redevelop, which he's got one of the best with Infiltrator Lillian.
Yeah. lnguagehackr also heavily incentivized to try and stick a minion with double Ironbark in hand, but the Infiltrator Lillian is probably the card that he wants to see the least right now, because that just will challenge the Lake Thresher on board if he decides to coin it out.
So Monsanto thinking about a different play here. She did just draw Sneaky Delinquent. I think it's the Infiltrator Lillian, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to be like super efficient with damage, then like Dagger Up and then Sneaky Delinquent over two turns with Dagger Ups, but lnguagehackr
is mad.
Yeah, he's upset.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so he wants the Lillian to go face, so then he can Burrowing Scorpid the last 2 health from the Lake Thresher. If it doesn't go face, though, he can still play Sneaky Delinquent and Dagger Up. if it just kills the
So
Lake
many
Thresher.
options.
I mean, there's also he could Burrowing Scorpion first and then Lillian to guarantee the damage to face and guarantee have a 5/2 and a 4/2 in play, but neither of them would be stealth, which means they would be vulnerable to removal. But he has seen Crystal Power, and Language Hacker's not at a mana where he can play Bog Beams for free, so it's likely that one sticks. So it's actually a pretty big decision tree here. And it depends how confident Monsanto is that this Lillian wants to go face. There's also the... Oh, no, never mind. I was going to say there's the third secret option, which is Sinister Strike, Sneaky Delinquent, Cold Blood to push max damage. But then you leave a Lake Thresher on board, which activates Iron Bark. You could trade over the minion and kill both. He's doing that, I guess.
Well, I think you just dagger and you attack.
Okay, yeah, dagger,
so that there's no AoE.
Yeah.
And it's like purely up to the Druid to prove that they can kill you. You also, by the way, don't have to attack. Probably better to attack since you've already committed the Cold Blood, but...
Yeah.
It's a dicey situation here for the hacker. I think probably just going to use Bog Beam and Iron Bark here. It doesn't look like any other possibility, but maybe he can figure it out? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just needs to avoid the Forsaken Lillian.
Did it go face? Nope.
Oof. That's big.
That is big, actually.
That's so big, and now Language Hacker has somewhat stabilized? Oh boy. What a dramatic turn of things. And the overflow is so big, but I mean just for reference though, even if it went face, Language Hacker still would have most likely stabilized this turn.
I wonder.
It just would have increased Monsanto's outs for lethal from hand, like second Sinister Strike or Eviscerate, whereas now he has to push a little bit of extra damage through. Yeah. I mean, I guess Sneaky Delinquent. There's also Sneaky Delinquent plus Burrowing Scorpion, your own Sneaky Delinquent, to put a 5/2 stealth on board. That's less efficient, but if you think you're running out of time, having just the most power on board that's protected
Too soon.
might be better.
So many options.
Yeah, this looks tough, and I think that if you're Monsanto, you gotta start playing things onto the board. But if he has to kill his own minions so that we can stealth and challenge this Thresher, and this is where Language Hacker can finally get his overflow online. Alternatively, he could play his second Thresher and Iron Bark it immediately.
I don't think he wants to give him more turns of lethal outs.
Healing
Secret...
Touch.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. This is revenge. Revenge for the 19 damage from hand game. Okay, Greyheart Sage, that's a start.
Yeah, that's huge.
Looking for Secret Passage, looking for direct damage.
Oh.
Second Greyheart Sage, okay.
Language Hacker is okay with this. He just doesn't want anything else because he knows that there's limited amount of mana to kill off the Thresher, and the Thresher is challenging a lot right now. Monsanto might have to preemptively invest Backstab and trade into it to stop the Thresher from ultimate catastrophe, which is clearing his entire board for only one minion trading into it.
He
could also protect.
Yeah, with the Worgen
by playing
Infiltrator.
Worgen.
He could have put the Worgen Infiltrator next to the far left Greyheart Sage to protect his Burrowing Scorpion. And then be able to attack with the 5/2 next turn.
That's true. Well, either way, Language Hacker's in a really good spot. Now he's made it to 7 mana and has Guardian Animals. He did draw his Twilight Runner and his Thresher, so I believe he has a Teacher's Pet and Twilight Runner in his deck.
Yep.
Which is fantastic, actually, because now he can clear the board and He can set up a taunt. I think he's worried if there's any possible way for him to throw. I think last game may have been a really painful lesson that he's not nearly as safe as he might think he is. But I really like the Guardian Animals play here.
Time waits for no one.
Taunt alive.
Yep, gonna clear up everything, and now it's back over to Monsanto, who has no stealth minion. He has no stealth minion on the board. He has 2 stealth minions he can play. This is definitely where the wheels start to fall off the aggro rogue. It seems like if they don't kill by turn 6 or 7, they are either desperately praying for some kind of final out, or they just get completely outmuscled.
Yeah. Oh, actually, a good burn, because that was a dead card.
Right.
Like healing
lnguagehackr
touches on
hovering
the
over that
menu.
innervate. I'm wondering if we could just take it really safe and healing touch. Yeah, I like this, and just playing like any minion here.
Yeah. Innervate might have just been to, that would have been like one of the cards he would dump to make hand space for Twilight Runner.
Right. It's looking real bad for Monsanto. I think Monsanto's just going to wait to see if he can draw like a miracle series of outs through Secret Passage.
Is there? He plays Ash Tongue Slayer. Secret Passage, draws Sap. Then has 10 or 13 damage represented.
No.
That would be 5 mana total. Eviscerate, Eviscerate. Oh, yeah. If he drew Secret Passage, there was a chance.
Deal with them.
Yeah, there's a very small chance. It requires a very specific draw order, but it does seem that Monsanto is pretty much dead. I don't think he's actually dead because lnguagehackr does not have the lethal with the oh, he does with Lightning Bloom. No, he doesn't have enough mana. Oh, wow, he doesn't have lethal.
My hand is too full.
And get taunts from Exotic Mount Seller, though.
I supply only the finest creatures.
And clear up everything except for the Stealth Minion here.
Right. So Lightning Bloom. If he gets no taunts, Monsanto has 12 or 4 damage, has to make up 12, which is actually kind of doable. That would, I mean, it's kind of wild that Rogue is still, it's still possible for Rogue to win this game.
Yeah, I know.
No taunts.
Time waits for no one.
Stealth, I mean, he's got the kill secured next turn. I'm definitely going to consider hero powering here for lnguagehackr just to gain 1 life.
Yeah. I actually think if he gains... No, gaining 1 life, he's actually still not out of the woods. But it has to be Secret Passage here for Monsanto. Nope. So close, yet so
It was
very,
kinda close.
very far.
Like, I know, it was kind of close, and Monsanto with a nice round of applause.
I think that was he was mocking lnguagehackr's sarcastic claps.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
Yeah. There was actually lethal outs, like Secret Passage into Sinister Strike, Cold Blood, Eviscerate.
Yep.
I mean, it's very unlikely, incredibly unlikely. But again, so was the Warrior game, where he had the incredibly unlikely handful of damage that killed lnguagehackr. So I like how lnguagehackr played it as safe as possible in that last one, just making sure that he was at the highest possible life total every single turn that he could. And got through it. So now he moves on to the top 4. He joins Eddie and Bloodyface. Eddie, Bloodyface, Language Hacker. I mean, I feel like this is every week.
Yep, it's going to be another fun top 4. Congratulations, Language Hacker, getting into Sunday once more. And, I mean, all but has secured his Division A spot alongside Eddie and, I believe, Bloodyface. But we shall see, who gets the last laugh of the final spot here. Brian Thorne versus Empanazados coming up next, and 2 players who still have some questions to answer, which is like, are there lineups or their choices or some of the lines that they're taking, can they really back them up and find a way to hone them in and refine them further to get a top 4 spot? Because Brian